You're watching BBC News. I'm Geeta Guru-Murthy. We're just bringing you breaking news this hour from Ireland, from the Republic of Ireland. It is being reported that the Taoiseach Leo Varadkar is going to stand down as Taoiseach and Fine Gael leader. And we are expecting him to make a statement at this podium in Dublin. That is the courtyard of the government buildings there in Dublin, and you can see a podium with microphones is set up. We're expecting that statement at 12 noon UK time. That's 5 minutes from now. We don't have any more information as yet as to why this resignation is coming. As far as we know, it is not expected. It is being reported in the Irish press and the Irish Independent. And we are expecting, as I said, an announcement in about 5 minutes' time. The Irish Independent is reporting that the Cabinet met today. This is BBC News. You're watching us live from Dublin. I'm Geeta Guru-Murthy, just bringing you images there of the courtyard in Dublin, because we're expecting the Taoiseach there, Leo Varadkar, the Prime Minister in Ireland, to stand down, also stepping down from his leader of the governing Fine Gael party. There's been a lot of speculation about his future because there have been 2 referendums which the government lost quite badly. We are expecting to see an internal race for the party leadership, but apparently not necessarily a general election. And we will just move away. We'll come back to that announcement as soon as we can. But let me just first of all bring you our news that we had planned to bring you this hour. And we're going to go to Sudan, because civilians caught up in Sudan's civil war have given graphic accounts to the BBC of rape, ethnic violence and street executions. Senior United Nations officials say the war has plunged the country into one of the worst humanitarian nightmares in recent history. OK, I'm so sorry to interrupt you. We're just going to take everyone to Dublin because Leo Varadkar is making his announcement now.
Yep. Everyone, I'd like to thank you for coming. I'd like to read a brief statement.
Applause for Leo Varadkar as he became emotional at the end of that statement, confirming that he is going to step down as Taoiseach and leader of his party in Ireland. He said he had both personal and political reasons for stepping down, but he believed that his 3-party coalition government could be re-elected, but he felt the right thing to do was for them to find a new party leader. He acknowledged that there would be a lot of speculation as to, as he put it, quote unquote, the real reasons for his resignation, but he said this is it. He said politicians are human beings, we have our limitations, and he felt that after 7 years as party leader, that this was the time, and that he of course started by listing his achievements as he saw it on unemployment, on steering the country through the pandemic, and on, of course, Brexit, saying the country now was in a more stable position on trade and with both the UK and the EU. But as the journalist who broke this story described it, this is a political earthquake. Let's go to Jennifer O'Leary. What do you make of that statement? How big a deal is this announcement? And just very briefly, anything on the horizon for him as far as we know? He said not at the moment, very quickly.
Well, we have heard speculation that he may be in the running for a European job.
OK.
And
very interesting. Shane, we'll have to come back to you. We're running out of time this hour, but more to come. Thank you very much. This is BBC News. Live from London, this is BBC News. I'm Geeta Guru-Murthy. The Irish Prime Minister Leo Varadkar announces he is to stand down before the country's next general election.
So I am resigning as President and Leader of Fine Gael effective today, and will resign as Taoiseach as soon as my successor is able to take up that office.
Millions of people in Sudan are at risk of dying from disease and starvation after 11 months of civil war. We have a special report. The IDF says it killed around 90 gunmen in its raid on Al-Shifa Hospital as the US Secretary of State arrives in the region for more talks. Hello, I'm Geeta Guru-Murthy. Welcome to BBC News Now. 3 hours of fast-paced interviews and reaction. We start in Ireland, where the Prime Minister Leo Varadkar has just resigned in an unexpected announcement. Mr Varadkar described his period leaving his country as the most fulfilling of his life. He will step down before the next general election in the Republic of Ireland. Mr Varadkar became Ireland's youngest Taoiseach back in 2017 when he became leader of Fine Gael. Let's listen to him announcing his resignation from the steps of the government buildings in Dublin a short time ago. Dr Sabri Sadam, Deputy Secretary-General of the Fatah Central Committee, thank you very much indeed. Around the world and across the UK, this is BBC News. You're watching BBC News. I'm Geeta Guru-Murthy. Civilians caught up in Sudan's civil war have been given graphic accounts to the BBC of rape, ethnic violence and street executions. Senior United Nations officials say the war has plunged the country into one of the worst humanitarian nightmares in recent history. More coming up. You're watching BBC News, much more online, of course, on the website too. This is BBC News, the headlines. The Irish Prime Minister Leo Varadkar announces he's to stand down before the country's next general election.
So I am resigning as President and Leader of Fine Gael effective today, and will resign as Taoiseach as soon as my successor is able to take up that office.
The UK data watchdog says it's assessing a report that staff at the clinic in London, which treated the Princess of Wales, tried to access her private medical records. The UK government has banned 15 synthetic opioids as a BBC investigation reveals its data may be underestimating their spread. Now, an investigation's begun at the clinic in London which treated the Princess of Wales over claims that staff tried to access her private medical records. The Daily Mirror newspaper alleges that at least one staff member at the London clinic in Marylebone was involved. In the last few minutes, the chief executive of the clinic said all appropriate investigatory, regulatory and disciplinary steps will be taken when looking at the alleged data breaches. Here's our royal correspondent, Johnny Diamond. Adam Easton in Warsaw, thank you very much. OK, around the world, across the UK, this is BBC News. Across the world, across the UK, this is BBC News. I'm Geeta Guru-Murthy. Now, our breaking news today, Ireland's Prime Minister Leo Varadkar has resigned in an unexpected announcement. He described leading his country as the most fulfilling time of his life. He'll step down before the next general election in the Republic of Ireland. Well, let's go live to Dublin. We can speak to Gavin Riley, political correspondent at Virgin Media News. This was being described as a political earthquake. Is that how you would say it is being seen in Dublin? Any indication at all that this was coming? Interesting report, isn't it? We're back soon. This is BBC News. Live from London, this is BBC News. The Irish Prime Minister Leo Varadkar announces he's to stand down before the country's next general election. Vaughan Gething becomes the First Minister of Wales, the first black leader of a European country. Millions of people in Sudan are at risk of dying from disease and starvation after 11 months of civil war. We'll have a special report. The hospital where the Princess of Wales was treated says any breach of patient information will be investigated, following reports staff tried to access her private medical records. And Netflix drama The Crown's final season takes the most nominations at the BAFTA TV Awards. Hello, I'm Geeta Guru-Murthy. This is News Now, 3 hours of fast-moving news, interviews and reaction. We start in Ireland, where the Prime Minister Leo Varadkar has resigned. In a shock announcement, Mr Varadkar described his period leading his country as the most fulfilling time of his life. He'll step down before the next general election in the Republic of Ireland. Mr Varadkar became Ireland's youngest Taoiseach back in 2017 when he became leader of Fine Gael. Let's listen to his announcement of his resignation from the steps of government buildings just a short time ago. Sarah Campbell, thanks very much. Indeed, this story is not going away in one form or another. Thank you. Around the world and across the UK, this is BBC News. This is BBC News. I'm Geeta Guru-Murthy. Now, Vaughan Gething has been formally nominated as the First Minister of Wales by the Welsh Parliament. He narrowly won the Welsh Labour leadership to succeed Mark Drakeford, who stepped down from the post after more than 5 years. He's the first politician from an ethnic minority background in the role and the only black leader of a national government in Europe. After the vote, he set out his vision for Wales. The BAFTAs can compete with that. We'll see.
We'll see.
Thank you very much, Norla. Great to see you. Much more coming up, of course, here on BBC News Now. Much more on the website too about our breaking news today of the resignation of Leo Varadkar. We're back soon.
Now on BBC News, the latest business news from across the globe. World Business Report.
Cashing in on chips, the US gives billions of dollars to Intel to try and keep ahead in the global race for computer chips. And Polish farmers continue their protests despite the EU limiting the amount of agricultural produce that comes in from Ukraine. Hello, welcome. This is World Business Report. I'm Ben Thompson, and we're going to start this programme in the United States, where President Biden's government says it is throwing billions of dollars more into the global battle over computer chips. Many countries are trying to get ahead in an industry that is crucial to the future of the global economy. It powers everything from electric vehicles to artificial intelligence. Well, $8.5 billion is going directly to the chip maker Intel to help it make more chips in the United States. It's also getting billions more in loans. Well, the aim is for 20% of the world's computer chips to be made in the US by the end of the decade. So let's take you live to New York. Our correspondent is Erin Delmore, and she is there for us live. And Erin, just talk us through the announcement today. Some other business stories for you this hour, and sales at the luxury brand Gucci are expected to fall 20% in the first quarter of the year. That news was enough to send shares in the company's owner, that's the luxury conglomerate Kering, down by 14%. It's wiped $7 billion off the group's value. Well, the drop in sales is blamed on a much steeper decline than expected in the Asia-Pacific region. The warning contrasts with rival LVMH and Hermes, whose sales have remained pretty resilient. Pakistan has reached a tentative deal to unlock a $1.1 billion tranche of International Monetary Fund bailout money. Now, the country has been experiencing an ongoing economic crisis with soaring inflation. Last summer, it agreed a $3 billion bailout deal with the IMF to avoid defaulting on its debts. And the bakery chain Greggs has been hit by an IT problem that forced some stores to shut or go cash only this morning. Now, it follows a card payment outage at supermarkets Sainsbury's and Tesco on Saturday. McDonald's was also affected last Friday. Now, Greggs has told the BBC a technical issue had affected tills in some shops. The majority of them were now able to take cards and cash again. You're up to date. We'll see you for another edition of World Business Report very soon. Bye-bye.
Hello there, I'm Ollie Foster with the latest sports news. A Spanish court has ruled that the former Barcelona and Brazil footballer Dani Alves can be conditionally released from jail on a €1 million bail pending an appeal against his conviction for rape. The 40-year-old has served about a quarter of his 4.5-year sentence, and it's going to be pretty much non-stop T20 cricket because the final of that IPL is just before the T20 World Cup in West Indies, which I'm sure Geeta will be delighted with back in London.
My children will be. I don't know if I will be. Do you know the IPL always clashes with school exams? This is a complete disaster in our house.
It's always going to clash with something. It's on all the time. There's a lot of cricket for you.
It is on all the time. Thanks very much, Ollie. Thank you. Let's get some more of the main news today. And the UK government has banned 15 synthetic opioids as a BBC investigation reveals its data may be underestimating their spread. The Department of Health recorded just 19 non-fatal overdoses in the second half of last year linked to nitazines. But there have been more than 100 deaths since last summer. The BBC Midlands correspondent Navtej Johal has spoken to one man who nearly died from an accidental overdose. Sophia Batista there looking at the numbers. Well, I'm very happy to be back after a little time away, and we are all back, of course, in the coming hour. Matthew's here with Verified Live. I am back on Friday. I'll see you then. Bye.
Hello there. For England and Wales, we've got a weakening area of low pressure with us in